4.2 Common Areas. The objective here, we're going to figure out and understand how to find the area of rectangles, squares, parallelograms, triangles, and trapezoids. Rectangles. What is the area of this rectangle? Well, 1. Each square has an area of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the area of this rectangle has to be 8. And instead of counting one by one, can we count it faster? Well, we can do this instead. 2, 4, 6, 8. So that's 4 2's, right? 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2, which is 4 times 2. So the area of this rectangle is really 4 times 2. And really, the area for any rectangle has to be this, which is the length, times the width. Squares. Well, squares are also rectangles. They're a type of rectangle. So we know this one. There's 1, 2, 3 down here. 1, 2, 3 up here. When the length and the width are the same, we have a square. So it's really 3 times 3. In other words, for the square, we can say that it is 3 squared, which is the same as 3 times 3. The area of any square is s times s. You can also write it as s squared. With parallelograms, here we have a parallelogram. What happens if I draw a line right here? When I do that, I can cut off a triangle and move it over here. Notice that this parallelogram has the same area as this rectangle. This rectangle we know is length times width. The length is the same as the base of the parallelogram. The width is the same as the height. So we see that the area of the parallelogram, instead of length times width, is just going to be base times height. So this one is going to be 15 times 8, okay, which is 120. So to summarize, for all of these, we're really just multiplying. For rectangles, it's length times width. Area is length times width. For squares, it's side times side, which is side squared. For parallelograms, it's base times height. But really, we could have used this formula, rectangles, to also find the area of this one. So we're all just multiplying the sides. So for this one, this is a parallelogram. The area has to be 5.9 inches times 4 inches, which is going to be 36.6. And the unit is going to be inches times inches, which we can write as inches squared. For this one, the area is going to be the length, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, times the width, 1, 2, 3. So the area of this rectangle has to be 5 times 3, which is 15 units squared. Next, triangles. So we know that this parallelogram has area base times height, with this b and this h. Well, if we take the triangle is 1/2 of the parallelogram. Triangle is 1/2 of it. So that means the area of the triangle must be base times height divided by 2. So the area of all triangles has to be 1/2 times base times height, which is the same as base times height divided by 2. So the area of this triangle, it has to be 14 times 10 divided by 2, which is 70. Finally, trapezoids. There are a few ways you can think of trapezoids. Now, let's label these. We see A and B here. On the AMCAS, I like to use B1 and B2, so let's call it B1 and B2. It doesn't really matter how we label things. And here, we have our height. Well, how can we figure out the area of this trapezoid? There are a few ways of doing it. One way of thinking of it is, this is like a parallelogram, but the parallelogram has two of its identical bases. The parallelogram is base times height. With the trapezoid, instead of doing a base, we have two different bases. So we have to do the mean of the two bases. B1 plus B2 over 2 times height. That's one way of thinking about it. Another way of thinking about this, I can draw a straight line from here. Whoops, let's try this again. A straight line from here to here. Okay. Now we know that this is also h. So the area of this rectangle, this triangle, let's call this triangle 1, is going to be B1 h divided by 2. The area of the other triangle, 2, is going to be B2 h divided by 2. So that means that the area of the trapezoid is going to be B1 h divided by 2 plus B2 h divided by 2. When we're adding fractions, we can just put them together. So this is the same as B1h plus B2h divided by 2, which is the same as B1 plus B2 times h divided by 2. That's the formula. You can also write this as 1/2 times B1 plus B2 times h. So the area of the trapezoid will be 10 plus 24 times 7 divided by 2. Okay. So finally, you can look at it as there are two trapezoids here. The parallelogram has base a plus b, the height h, so the area is a plus b times h divided by 2. Okay. To summarize, the area of triangles, well, triangles and trapezoids we have to divide by 2. Triangles is b plus h divided by 2. Trapezoids is the two bases, b1 plus b2 times h divided by 2. So the area of this triangle, they give us a lot of numbers, but we don't have to use all of them. This is just base times height divided by 2. The base is 22. The height is 21 divided by 2. Just put this in the calculator, and we get 231. And really it should be, this is really 22 inches times 21 inches. So the area will be 21 inches squared. Last one. With this trapezoid, we know the area has to be base 1 plus base 2 times h divided by 2. Base 1 is 8.9. Base 2 is 13.1. The height is 7 divided by 2. Notice that we do not need the 7.9 here. 8.9. Put this in the calculator. We have to use multiply to be clear, and we get 77. Again, the area is going to be 77 meters squared. Okay, that's it.